Hey, and welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. This is the perfect time for you to subscribe to my channel. There's somewhere down here is a subscribe button, so please hit it. Hit the bell notification and you won't miss anything. I do farming videos, I do crafting videos, I do just normal ministry, life videos, but mostly I do Southern cooking videos. So I would love to have you join me and be a part of my YouTube family. Thank you for all your support. And this video is going to be kind of a talky video, a rambling talky video. So stay tuned. Hey guys, and welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. Let me see if I can move you guys in just a little bit so I can back up and you don't see quite the messes in the room. There, that's a little better. Forgive the messy hair, the no makeup, but it is cleaning day for me here on the farm and in the house. It is outside work day for the boys, for the men. Isaac is mowing over at the chicken houses. Bryant is, I think he's bush hogging. Or no, maybe he's spreading litter. Maybe he's spreading chicken litter and then he's going to bush hog. But it is a work day here, but I wanted to take a little bit of time. I know yesterday I did not get a video up and I apologize for that. It was a medical procedure day for me yesterday. But anyway, so I thought we would just come in today and just have a few minutes. I would talk to you guys. I told you I would give you a health update on me, and I want to show you some craft things and just talk to you for a little bit. It may ramble, and so if you're not into the rambling type videos, you may want to just skip this one, and that's fine. It won't hurt my feelings a bit. There'll be a cooking video coming up Saturday. I hope to finish getting the kitchen clean and then do some cooking and baking and having something great and fun uploaded for you on Saturday. But let's start with crafts. Oops, I kicked my tripod. I finished my Trinity stitch scarf. Now all I have to do is block it, and I will do that as a video as well, showing you how I block my knitting. But this yarn is just so wonderful. This really probably don't even need blocking because, as you can see, it's not curling or anything. But that is the Trinity stitch. Let me get you just one layer to look at. It is such a pretty stitch, and I've got to tie in my end strings, but in the winter time or fall, this is going to be a wonderful scarf that's not heavy. It's not going to like roast me out of anything, but it'll be just something really pretty to wear. It'll be cozy. It's soft. I don't know what kind of yarn this was, but I love it. It is so soft. It's not itchy. I just love it. So this will be a wonderful scarf to wear in the fall and even the winter, because I get hot and I don't like things around me too much. You know, I don't even know. I think it's curling a little bit right there, so maybe I will block it. But this yarn is wonderful. If I can find it again, I'm definitely gonna buy some more, and then I can tell you what it is. I finished the quilt top that I was working on. Well, I haven't finished the quilt top. Let me back up. I've got my blocks sewn together. I don't have my borders on yet, so I've got to just straighten it up. It's not quite, I gotta square it up. It's not exactly square, but I'm gonna square it up and then I'm gonna put the borders on, and then, but I said I was going to get this put together, and then I was going to go back and work on my Christmas quilt and get it completely finished. So actually, even before I put the borders on this other quilt, I'm going to finish my Christmas quilt and get it completely done and say that I have a completed project. Those are far and few between. I have lots of started things. I think in the crafting world, they call them WIPs, works in progress. I have a lot of whips and I have a lot of UFOs, unfinished objects. So I'm going to put that one is like, that's next on the list. In fact, I'll probably start that tomorrow, finishing it up. And it's just at that process where the top's done and I've just got to buckle down and put the backing out, the batting, baste it and quilt it, and it's, you know, it's just actually getting started in doing that. That's the problem. But that's what I'm going to do. But I want to show you, y'all are going to laugh. It is so funny. I want to show you my design wall. And I use that term lightly because I don't design anything. It's just where I laid my blocks out and I chose to, you know, I could step back and look at it and think, okay, I need to move this one around. I need to move this one. Okay, well, I don't have like a fancy design wall. So I taped up, with painter's tape, I taped up a flannel sheet. And I put my blocks on the wall and I'd move them around. I'd step back and look and think, oh, no, I like this, or no, I like that. But it's quite hilarious. It's just the back of a flannel sheet taped up with painter's tape. And you'll get to see my my finished, well, almost finished quilt top that I'll be working on and finishing after I finish the Christmas one. So let me turn you around, see if I can turn you around smoothly enough. There you go. I don't know if you guys can see everything. Isn't that quilt top pretty? It's kind of hanging on there a little sideways, but this is called the Happy Trails, and like you see a circle here, you see a circle here. It's kind of like not a drunkard's path, but I don't know what the actual pattern is, but it goes together, and I think the name of this one is Happy Trails. I thought that was, and this is a white background I used, and this is K-Facet line, Free Spirit, I think is the name. But so I put it together. So now all that's going to go on this is a white border. Then I'm going to try to find one of this pinky, orangey pinky wide border. So you're going to have a thin white border, a pinky wide border, and then I would love, I don't know if it's going to look good or not, but I love this. Let me see if I can bring you in here. This was my favorite piece of this whole, was this one right here, and I would love that to be the backing if I can find it. Bryant has a doctor's appointment in Greensboro on Monday, and so hopefully we will, I can stop by that fabric store and see if they have any of this, and I also need to buy my wide pink border. But this over here is just a flannel sheet that we use. I mean, we use this flannel sheet, and I had taken all my flannel, since it's summertime and hot, taken all my flannel stuff, and I just got this out and taped it, literally taped it with painter's tape. And this is pinned up right now, but they just stick. They just stick. I'll show you. Let me get a piece of fabric. Here is another piece of this K-Facet fabric. It's just no pins, nothing. And I just would lay them up there. And they stick. Isn't that sad? So I'm going to have to get Bryant to build me some kind. And like I said, I don't need a design wall. Look, these drums are echoing. Let me get back over here. I don't need a design wall to design because I'm not that good yet. But I do need it to, you know, because some colors don't look good next to each other, and you might want to move them around. Like I found I had too many yellows in one spot. I had too many polka dots, and I still have too many polka dots in one spot, but it kind of every block in that one circle has polka dots in it. So I kind of thought, well, that's the polka dot circle. So, but anyway, so now I just got to square up that quilt top, but before I do that, I'm gonna finish that one if I can. So let me bring you up to speed with my health. I told you I would. So I have for years had like muscle weakness that would just come up out of nowhere, and I'd be like, I cannot hardly put one foot in front of the other. I would be folding clothes and could get one piece almost folded and just have to drop my arms. Or I could be driving, and I drive normally at 10 and 2, the way I was told, at 10 and 2, and just sometimes I just can't, and I have to just drop my hands down at the bottom of the steering wheel and drive down there. That's been going on for years. I had some abnormal muscle enzymes for years, and I'm talking like 20 years. Well, maybe not 20, close to 20. And really abnormal. So I've had a muscle biopsy years ago. They never could just pinpoint what was going on. Well, throughout the years, I've had weird stuff throughout the years that I've just like, and it's something, and they sent me to have the muscle biopsy and stuff, and they said, well, we need to send you to a muscle specialist, and they may do another biopsy. And at that point, this was years ago, at that point, I was just like, I'm kind of over going to doctors. I can function. Just let me be. You know, if something major happens, we'll figure it out. Well, a couple of times, and I don't know if you remember back when Bryant and I went to the PBR, the bull riding show, but that night was the second time this had happened. I was walking, and not strenuous walking. I was just walking in the Coliseum. I mean, it was no big deal. I was just walking in, and my leg quit working. Like, I could feel it. It was my right leg, and I could feel it, and I could drag it, but I couldn't make it lift up. And that was scary. And that's only the second time that's happened. Only the second time. But that was scary. So anyway, but I didn't go to the doctor or anything about it. I just let it be because it came back and I was fine. I don't know if you remember, my lips will swell up really big, just out of the blue. Well, recently, I've missed doing some videos because I have this weird facial discoloration rash thing that just would come up. Didn't itch, it didn't hurt, it just was there. And so we thought maybe it was rosacea, but still everything just kind of comes back to something they thought was autoimmune. But my blood work has never been definitive. It's just been crazy. Anyway, so I finally went to the doctor because you mess with a woman's vanity. I mean, I know y'all can't tell I'm vain right now, but I mean, like when I dress up to go to church on Sundays, I want to look decent. And even putting makeup over this, it just kind of made it look worse. It made it look clumpy. It was not, anyway, and it was dealing with me emotionally. So it was enough to get a fire lit under me to get me to the doctor. And I said, let's do some blood work. I think there was something autoimmune going on. Well, one of my autoimmune tests came back abnormal. Not like majorly, but abnormal. So they send me to the doctor with this was what they sent me with: elevated ANA, which was my blood work, and facial rash. So that's all he knew. Well, when we get in there, I tell him, okay, let me tell you my history. And so I start telling him back to the muscle stuff, and that has worsened throughout the years. And so he goes, whoa. He goes, yes, we've got to dig into this. And he starts telling me what he thinks it is, and the name of it is polymyositis. Is one of the things he thought that it could be. So he did some extensive lab work. And so we waited, and the labs, it took over a week for them to come back. They came back Some were abnormal, some were normal. Still not really a flashing red light as this is what it is. So the thing that's going to help them decide is the muscle biopsy. Well, that was so many years ago that I had that. It's been archived in the medical records. It didn't get like uploaded when they went to the electronic system, and so, and this is a big company, medical company, and so I don't know that they're, I just don't know if they can find it, when they're going to find it, or whatever. I was able, because I worked for this company, I was able to have a friend send them in some of my labs, and so they have all my old labs, but we're in search of the muscle biopsy. If we can't find it, I'm going to have another one. And those things are painful. My first one was right here. There, I have a scar right here on my arm, and it was so painful. Oh my goodness. And so I dread that so bad. But I'm hoping. I called my doctor's office and I said, here is the headquarter medical records number. Please light a fire under them so I don't have to have this done again. So I got a call yesterday that they had called that number and they were working on getting those medical records. Well, in the meantime, let me back up a little bit. You all know, if you followed my channel, you know that in March 2018, I had a SMA dissection. Ever since that, I have been on blood thinners. Well, guess what? It came time for my colonoscopy because I had colon polyps years ago, back in the late 90s. I had a colon polyp that was precancerous. Been clean since then. He was ready to move me out to 10 years, every 10 years. And but he called to schedule my colonoscopy, and I said, well, let me just tell you, a little bit's changed in my health since I last saw you. I've had this artery dissection. I'm on blood thinners. He says, I need you to come in the office before we do a colonoscopy. So I went in the office. He goes, you know, I'm not really comfortable doing a colonoscopy with your history of this SMA. He says, I just don't feel good about it. He says, but I want you to talk to your vascular surgeon and see what he says, and how he wants to go about the blood thinners, if he wants us to do one. And I said, okay. He goes, you've been clean for so many years. I'm comfortable putting you out 10 years if that's, you know, if everybody's okay with that. So it's like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Whoa, whoa. So I go see my vascular surgeon for a checkup for the CT, a yearly. They keep an eye on this artery. They do a CT every year. And I went for that. And, okay, because of everything going on in the health of the world right now, they called. It wasn't a face-to-face. Now the CT, I had to go in and have that done. He read the CT and called me. And he says, was talking, and I had almost forgot to even mention the colonoscopy to him because I was fine putting it out 10 years. So he said, have you seen any other doctors or whatever? And I said, well, I saw my GI doctor. I said, he wanted me to ask you if you wanted me to have a colonoscopy done. He goes, I'm glad you mentioned that. He says, let me tell you what I'm going to do. He goes, and then we're going to come back and talk about the colonoscopy. I said, okay. So he goes on to tell me that my SMA has improved and he's going to take me off one of my blood thinners. I was like, woohoo! That was not in the cards a year ago. I was going to be on blood thinners the rest of my life, and it has continued to heal, and I don't need to be on all of my blood thinners. I'm still on the aspirin, but I don't have to be on the Plavix or the Xarelto anymore. So, that was a God thing, because that was not what was told to me a year ago. And so, praise the Lord. I mean, everything is a God thing. This whole scenario, just wait. So, he goes, now let's go back and talk about the colonoscopy. He says, I definitely want you to have a colonoscopy. He says, we see something on the CT scan, And I think he used the word enlarging or thickening, or I can't remember what word he used, but it wasn't very alarming. Whatever word he used did not send an alarm up in me. He says, but I definitely want you to have it. So I didn't even reschedule. I already had a scheduled appointment with my GI doctor. And so I didn't call or anything. I just waited for that appointment. Went to that appointment and I said, you know, he took me off my blood thinner. He says, yeah, I want you to have a colonoscopy. And so the GI doctor pulled up the CT and he says, yes, I think we definitely need to do one. Blah, 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 blah. And so that was yesterday. So Wednesday night, I did all that lovely prep, which is miserable, but I did it. And I don't handle that well at all, but I did it. And so go yesterday to have the colonoscopy. I don't mind the procedure a bit. Went yesterday to have the procedure. He comes in that room and they've called Bryant to come in. And so this time, guess what? I had 3 polyps, 2 of which they were able to remove. Okay, sorry, my camera messed up. So 2 of which they were able to remove. One, it's a biggie. and the stem where it is attached is not narrow. So there wasn't a narrow point for them to pinch off. So I will have to go into the hospital to have that removed, and I go next month to have that done. And so he looked at me, he goes, I am so glad you came in here today. And we did this colonoscopy. And it didn't dawn on me till Bryant and I went out to eat afterwards, because that's my first thing I got to do is eat afterwards, because you haven't eaten in a day and a half. And so I went in and we were finished, and I said, let me run to the restroom and I'll be right back. And I went to the restroom, I was washing my hands, and it dawned on me, do you know how close I came to not having the colonoscopy? Do you have any idea how close I came to waiting 10 years before I had another colonoscopy? Y'all, God is so good. How he makes things just kind of come together, and how he makes things, he illuminates things on CT scans. They weren't even scanning my gut. They were scanning my artery. And it just happened to picture my colon on the CT. And I mean, y'all, there's nothing to say except God is so good. God is so good. So anyway, so I go next month to have another colonoscopy thing. And I have to cleanse again. Hercules. I go again. Oh, I dread that so bad. It's not the going without food, although I hate that. It's the drinking that nasty stuff. And they say it's not nasty, but first of all, I despise Gatorade, and it makes me want to vomit. Ugh. But anyway, I just can't get over how good God is. And so I don't know if I finished telling you about my lab work, but my lab work from my rheumatologist who's checking for the autoimmune, it came back iffy, you know, kind of part was positive, part was negative, and still not really. So he needs this muscle biopsy. And the same week that I'm having my colonoscopy, they called and says, if you have not heard from us, that means we have not gotten any medical records, and I need you to call me that week, and we're going to schedule a muscle biopsy. So that's where we are. He says he is still thinking polymyositis, which if you Google it, you know, you don't Google anything. I'm a nurse. I used to tell people, would you quit Googling? But so what's the first thing I do is I Google. And, I mean, good grief, the things you can read, but then you know, you just get the gamut of stuff you can read. And, But anyway, that is the update on Leslie's health. And I tell you what, God is so good. God is so good. I don't know if you listen to contemporary Christian music, but there's a song called Rattle. And this is the sound of dry bones rattling. And he says, this is the sound of dry bones rattling. I'm coming out. I can't remember the words now, of course, but anyway, it's I'm gonna live again, and this is, and that's kind of my theme song right now. I'm gonna live. This does not define Leslie. Leslie is a miracle. What happened to me in my SMA, March 2018, and God raised me up when everybody else was planning my funeral. Yeah. That's who Leslie is. And so anyway, I know that the report because Brian says, are you nervous? Get my colonoscopy. And I said, no, God's got this. I am good. And this was before my colonoscopy. As I was going in, he goes, are you worried? I said, because I knew they had seen something on the CT scan. So he said, are you worried? And I said, no, I'm not worried. My health is going to be just fine. My muscle stuff. I mean, even if they find stuff and treat it with medicine, I don't care. I'm going to be fine. This is good to be good. And so, so it sounds like I contradicted myself when I went in. I said, no, I'm not nervous. This is going to be fine. It's no contradiction, because let me tell you, God had his way in this. It was so amazing. When I stopped and thought about how close I came to not having the colonoscopy, but how God orchestrated everything to make sure I had it, to make sure I got my colonoscopy. So if you're due a colonoscopy, don't put it off. Don't put it off. And if you get a report that something was seen on something, don't go into panic mode, for Pete's sake. Don't go into panic mode. It may be God's way of orchestrating you to get you to the right doctor, to the right place that you need to be, so that he can then, in return, get all the glory. And if by chance something bad happens in your health, it does not negate God's goodness. He is still good, and he is still working out his perfect and wonderful and no flaw plan. And even if his plan includes me going through a little bit of discomfort, and let me tell you, there is nothing comfortable about a colon cleansing. It is not comfortable, and I'm gonna have to do it again next month. If I think about that too much, then I get a little bit of. But anyway, so let me tell y'all, God is good. And don't y'all ever forget it. Don't you ever forget it. So, anyway, if you have any questions, leave them for me in the comments below. I may do a Q&A sometime soon, but, and it doesn't even have to be about my health. It can be about my crafts. It can be about my beautiful design wall with my flannel sheet with painter's tape. And I got a new chair. Let me show you my chair. Me and Isaac were sharing a chair. He uses his in his room if he needs a chair in his room. And he would come in here and get it. And then I'd come in here and do crafts, and I couldn't find it. So I just went and bought me one. And I actually like this one better. It's got this, I don't know if you can see through here, but it's got this lumbar support. And with the muscle thing, I would be in here working, and I'd just get tired. But now it supports my back. I can sew, and I still have support in my back. And so anyway, well, that's it. I know I've just kind of talked today, and I'm sorry. But Saturday, you will have a great video. We will make something good tonight. I'm not sure what. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to get the house clean so I can do something. So, anyway, y'all have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. Sorry, this video was a day late, but I'll see you guys tomorrow, and And then I'll see you again on Monday. Y'all have a great day, and I will see you later. Thank you for watching The Farm and Pastor's Wife. And remember, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything. Bye, y'all.